just taken a walk down from my home in Gallywood and found a nice seat and looking at the view of the White Horse in Great Baddow. We're on a rather noisy junction here, but I just like the corner of that building with the trees overhanging, the chimney, and may even put a figure in. But I think I'll get my sketchbook out and just make a very quick sketch, and then I'm going to take it home and paint it. All I'm doing really is getting the basic outline of the subject in. It's quite a simple little drawing really. Try and get the way these posts go down and round the corner. That's it. It drops down there, but that's not a problem. That's the road, and it's that lovely old willow. We'll try and get that in. There you go. Just get an idea of windows. One there, a large, slightly larger one there, and then we've got a door, I believe, somewhere there. Quite a big reveal, sits back within the frame. A nice bit of the name above, White Horse. Another window there. Just see the window reveal, which is quite a feature of these old buildings. Windows quite low, a little bit of path work there, and we're going to put one more window in before we run out of picture. As I say, these sketches should be treated very, very simply, and I'll show you how to produce a painting with that. Just put the White Horse so I know where it is, and just do some framework for the window, just so as I know the type of window we've got in there, how many cross sections. It's always useful to know. 3, 2, that's it. Not vital to get these absolutely perfectly, but always a useful thing to do. Grey window frames, a couple of doors, windows above. Nice to have a pencil that marks in strong colour, strong pencil work. Trying to get it to sit down, and that is not far short of just improve on this tree a little. It's a soft lead pencil, so just improve on the tree, the way the old art, the way it hangs down. Sun coming from the left, so we're going to have a little bit of shadow work under the eave, under the gutter line there. Shadow on the windows, left and across the top. Shadow in the doorway, left and across the top. And once you put the shadows on, that's when we begin to see form the shape. We have a gutter, runs along there, downpipe, like that. This is going to be extremely dark, this tree, because it's in shadow. So that hangs down there like that. And then we're going to have the main road with, let's put a fencing along the back and a little bit of tree work. But other than that, let's just do the back of that chimney with its shadow running up the roof. And to be fair, a drawing like that is all you need to produce quite a nice, simple little watercolour. And I'll be taking that home, and in a day or two's time I'll be turning that into a lovely little watercolour. Okay, now I'm back in the studio. If you remember, produced that lovely little sketch of Great Baddow, the White Horse at Great Baddow. Now I'm back in the studio, I can now show you how easy it is to actually paint. I mean, and it's only a little fun sketch, so what I'm going to do is just damp the sky thoroughly. As I say, it's a little fun sketch. It's not sort of thing, just show you how easy it is to have a bit of fun with watercolour. Now all I'm going to do is paint it as quickly as I can, basically. Okay, sunny day, bit of blue sky, cobalt blue, touch of Prussian just to make it interesting. Don't want to make the sky too dark, but probably a nice dark area over the back there. There you go. Paint over the chimneys, they're going to be dark. So it's a nice sort of slightly greeny sky. There you go. Working my way down, allowing that to dry. Dry very quickly in here today. Background, well, there are buildings and all manner of things, but let's keep it simple. Let's go in with a touch of raw sienna for the background. A bit more blue in it just near the building there. That's where the main area of roof will be, and a little bit of brown in it as we come down, just to give it a bit of warmth. You know, as I say, all you do, you just play with colour, really. You know, I know you don't always know exactly what's going to happen, the outcome is going to be, but I'm just playing with it, really, and just hoping, you know. I mean, that's what watercolour's all about, you know, play and hope. And if you can do that, get some enjoyment out of the painting, well, that's so much better. Now on the road, I'm just adding raw sienna, road and path, and I'm blending that because I want that to actually merge together. See how I'm merging that together, so it's nice and even. I'm going to put a little bit of greenery to the right, cobalt blue, lemon or cadmium, something like that. Perhaps raw sienna to start, with a bit of Prussian. There you go. Just something that gives us a bit of greenery on the underneath of this underside of that tree. There are some white railings, but they're not going to be white anymore, purely because I've overpainted them. So that's, you know, as I say, it's a fun thing. Now in the foreground, light red into that raw sienna, give ourselves a bit of warmth. Don't want that to blend too much because it is at a different level. Now I'm going on to dry paper here, so that I don't mind that blurring, I don't mind it all blurring really. A bit of light red, there we go. A little bit stronger as we come forward, look at that. And a little bit of crimson in there. Do that quite a lot, those of you that have seen my videos. I like a bit of warmth, a bit of red, so I stroke a bit of red in, a bit of blue, stroke a bit of blue in. Before you know it, you got yourself the beginning of a shadow colour in the road. Not worrying about any road markings or anything like that. Now the roof, just raw sienna with burnt sienna. There we are. Let's add light red to that too. Give it, I want a nice rich feel. Not too rich, but nice, fairly rich feel. And for those of you that have seen me paint before, not putting a ridge tile in, got some bleeding up there into the sky, not too concerned about that. It really is just a matter of laying in colour, you know. I will say, you know, enjoy your painting, you know. Lay it on quick. Let's not get too fussed over it, you know. Now, going to paint the windows. Now, to start off, the windows, I'm going to paint it. That's like a nice grey window, ultramarine, with, I suppose, burnt sienna would give me a grey. Yeah, quite a nice grey. It's a greeny grey, so that's a bit of raw sienna with that. There we are. So as it produces a greeny grey. It's quite muddy actually, but perhaps that's not dissimilar to the windows. And what I'm going to do, I want to paint the complete window, leaving one or two little specks of white like that, and the sill, complete window, surround everything, and the sill, complete window there, one or two uprights left. That's the door, leave the window there, but door, surround, window again. You know, it's a matter of having fun with your paints, and if you can do that, you know, always be very successful with at least producing, that's a complete window funny enough, producing some sort of interesting building. Now I'm going to use burnt umber for the chimney, and notice how it's all flooded back into that chimney area. That's nice. There we go. Drop that into that as well. Let's have a bit of merging of the colour there. There we go. Right. Okay, so that's coming along quite nicely. Now, sky's still a little bit damp, but I'm going to go in with this large tree, and that is Prussian blue and burnt umber, possibly a touch of raw sienna. Let's put a touch of raw sienna, but I want plenty of Prussian because it's going to be dark. It is extremely dark, and remember my technique for this side of the brush, a bit open at the top, a bit more dark colour. Going dark early on this one because, as I say, it's a fun picture. It's one of those pictures that I want to finish before I've started, if you can get what I mean by that. I don't, but hopefully you do. You know, I don't want to be hanging around here with all sorts of detail and what have you. Far better the way the branches overhang. Always interesting to me, always did interest me. Just block off that corner. I like the corners well blocked, and a bit more blue, a bit more brown, really dark now, just to get some undersides and the way those branches hang down into the bank. There's a bank there, there you go. So that's all looking good. That's looking exceptionally good. Okay, now I'm going just to improve on that area that's bled. Just lifting off a little bit of colour, spread that across. There you go. And just spread that through. Well, we're having real fun with this one. The next one is that that willow. Now that is quite yellowy green. Still a stiff mix, because what I want to do is to produce a feeling of the way the branches hang down. You know, the way these lovely old willows, see the way the lovely old willows hang? And that's what I'm trying to suggest. A little bit open in places, but it's still hanging there. A bit darker as we come lower down, and it's overhanging that, just picking up the side of that building in places, giving that a little bit of texture, bit of lift. There we are, and it's quite an overhanging building that. There we go. Trees coming in, looking all good. It's really looking good. Okay, next area. Well, the front of the building is cream. So to me, cream is burnt umber and a little bit of raw sienna. There we are. And paint the front of the building. There again, not painting every single, you know, I'm not religiously filling that in. It's being painted very, very loosely, very rough. You know, it's, as I say, have fun, because if you don't have fun with your buildings, and unfortunately it's such a boring life trying to get a watercolour absolutely perfectly painted. It's not quite as easy as that. Far better just to no, I'm going to paint the trunk. It's quite a dark brown trunk, but I want to have a bit of brown. I want to have a bit of interest, and the trunk was there. Probably a white affair, but I'm depicting this as a and notice how I'm allowing the paint, just using the point of the brush here, just the paint's still running into the tree. So the branches are getting blurred. And I'm just trying to show how some of these branches actually hang down. Well, pretty good to me. I'm more than happy with that. I'm extending that right through and bringing a branch up there. Well, that's good, it's fine, nothing wrong with that. Now I'm going to paint the windows in. Well, I've already got the frames in, so all we need is dark brown, just a dark brown, blue brown, yeah, probably blue, probably reflect a bit of the sky. And all I'm going to do for that, very dry brush, and I'm just going to pull down. That's the glazed area. There, 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 there. Three sections in that. The window glazed areas in the doors, and there's 2 glazed areas there. Quite simply, that's all we need. you know, hanging baskets. Right, what do we need? Black, well, brown, dark brown, something like that for the tubs. Dark brown, burnt umber, ultramarine, light coming from the left, so we just scoop them round like that, leaving the top and the right unpainted to allow the film of light. It's all about allowing the film of light coming through, and then we're going to have a little bit of quite brilliant green for the top where the flowering is. So all you do is just a bit of that hanging down, blend that with the basket a little, and there's your hanging baskets. Look at that. And I know what you're saying, where's the colour? Well, here's colour. A little bit of orange, always useful. Always a nice idea to have the odd speck of orange, and sometimes they hang down as well under the basket, which is always useful, and into that light area that we've just left. And all of a sudden, you tell me what plant's in there. I can't. No idea really. Just soften that into the pavement. My favourite little trick. It's actually standing in the grounds, but I'm not worried. I'm not concerned at all. Then we're going to just mark in the paths, and the paths are a little bit more, say, brown, I suppose, a little bit different tone. It's a path that comes around the back. They're a bit more blue in that, perhaps. There you go, and that shoots away into the distance. We'll drop a couple of figures in there somewhere, so it's always a good thing to do. Now I'm going to put in the posts. Now they are white, but too late for that, so they're going to be brown posts, reasonably dark. One there, one there, one there, one there, and they run down and along. They do have cross sections, for those of you that know Great Baddow. So that's that. It's looking good. I'm going to just use a very small brush now to draw in White Horse, the name of the White Horse pub, in that grey again, just a dark browny grey, and very simply brush that points. Try and hold perspective when you do that, but not over fuss with that. Good. Now the chimneys. Very, very dark colour. Light red. Touch of ultramarine. But I like the light red because we've got 1 pot, 2, 3, 4, 5 pots on there. Just bang them in just like that. That's all it needs. Nothing fussy. Okay, now all it really is crying out for, let's just put in the gutter and downpipe while we have a moment. Ultramarine again. I like ultramarine for these very dark sort of passages or small sections. And we've got the gutter comes along like that. Notice I'm not drawing a straight line. It's an old building. That will give that perspective too. We've got the S-bend. Okay, well I've moved on since our sketch and put in all the basic colours, and this only took me very short amount of time. Just going to pull it all together really now with quite simply some burnt sienna, a bit of ultramarine, and what I'd class as picking up a bit of lining, just to show a little bit of, for instance, the back edge of that, just to give a bit more depth. 1 or 2 little smaller branches, because you've got to remember this is a willow, so you'll have one or two little straggly branches coming down, like that, like that. Just get rid of that, it's a bit big, and a bit more burnt sienna, a bit more ultramarine, a little bit of lining in the roof. You know, it's always nice to pick up a little bit of lining there. Across the ridge tile, it's another good little area. You know, just drop in some of those, don't be too fussed with that, but just a little bit of ridge tile work, always a useful thing to do. And also under the tile line, where the tiles meet the gutter. With these old buildings, they don't want to be too straight. There you go. A little bit more water in the mix. Burnt umber now, a little bit darker, just to give us a bit under the gutter perhaps, inside the window there, inside the window there, just to give it a bit more inside the door. It's really just giving it a little bit more depth. You know, it's just an additional colour, just to give a bit more depth to the doors and the windows. There you go. Just a little bit of brown. I do this a lot on buildings. Something that it's always useful to do. And of course there is a bracket for the hanging baskets, so I'm going to put that in as well, just hinting at that. It's got the sunlight on that. There is a small porch area over those doors, so that's going in as well. Then I'm going to paint in the shadow, and that's going to be in that brown. Now it does seem funny, but why shouldn't it be? You know, it's just a fun thing. It's just what I would call a fun painting, which is always a good way of saying, well, it's not right, but it was fun doing it. That's the way I see these sort of fun paintings. And oh, I'll tell you what there is in that area. There is a seat. Those of you that know Baddow would know that there's a lovely old bench seat here, and so we'll put that in quite simply like that. Just indicates that. May have a person sit on that shortly. And then a little bit more interest where the building sits. Then we're going to line up just round there. Nice, just thicken that line up a little. There we go. Yeah, that's beginning to pull it all together. It's a lovely little scene, this. Really, really is. Oh, a couple of figures. Right. Let's have these figures. They're quite dark. So I'm putting one in dark red, and this figure will be having a chat there to another figure. No head yet, but there will be. And this figure is in quite orangey colour. And that figure is like that in shadow there. And then all we do is pop dark brown. I just put dark brown for the hair. I'm not getting fussed with this. So that's one figure. That's another figure. Dark brown perhaps for just give them a bit of movement with their arms. that's that. Oh, and what about a dark, very dark figure sitting on the bench? There we are. Peak cap. There we are. Figure sitting on the bench. Another one. Give him a friend, shall we? There you go. So there we go. It's introducing a couple of few figures here and there. As I say, always a good thing to do. Bit of lining now for the road, just so as we can see where the road runs across there, which gives that a bit of edging. And we may let's just put a bit. Let's just put the. It'd be nice to have a bit of pavement in there. Let's just put the path in this foreground area in a sort of a warm grey colour. Bit of crimson in there just to give it a bit of rich, warm grey colour. And this is the path in the foreground. There you go, just to help give it a bit more perspective. A bit more blue in there now. Always nice to have a bit of a dark blue running out of picture in this right hand corner. There you go, that's the path. And of course, on the path we have the curbstone. And how do we do that? Well, we get the point of a brush and we mark sections of the curbstone like that and the outer edge. And all of a sudden we've got the impressions of a curbstone. Let's go a bit darker with that. Wasn't very impressive. Right, a little bit darker. There you go. Just needs to be, you know, it's all about tone, these things really. If you don't get the tone right, sometimes it doesn't work. But that gives a lovely feeling of that. Figures in. Yeah, I mean, for a basic tonal sketch of this scene, always good not to be too fussed with things. Treat them very simply, and let's just have one more figure. I don't know why, but I just fancy another figure coming in here, just entering in, just so that we can. I just want I want us to indicate the feeling of, might as well have a dog. That's the always a useful thing to introduce. There we go. And of course, that figure, being close to the wall, we'll have a casting shadow up the wall like that. And two things before we finish. A, we put in a signature. See something else that wants being done, but yeah, let's just do this last little thing first. Here we go. Just saw something that really should be just painted in. We need another wash of colour across there. That's a lovely smooth wash of colour across there. Brilliant. allow that to dry off, and we then sign it with a dark brown, something like that, anything dark. Always sign your paintings. It's vital that you do that. And just in recent years I've been signing with a brush and the paint that I've used, purely because it does help a sense of authenticity, really. Going to just draw in a little bit of a centre line there, and a little bit of the way the cars come over the top there. It's always nice just to have a little bit of gravelling. Not that it's a gravel path, but it does add interest to that foreground. Before we finish, my favourite thing to do is to peel off the surround, and that will give us, more or less mounts the picture, as I say, and gives us that, let's just take down that for a second, gives us a clear indication of what we've achieved. And well, there you go. Quite a quick little rendition, but if I just take the camera off the stand and just show you exactly, just hone in a little bit closer on the picture, you can see that it's quite simply painted. Figures, always an interesting thing to put in. You know, couple in the shadow on the seat, another couple under the tree, one with a dog. Very, very simply painted, but as you can see, you know, it's quite effective, and it all came from that simple sketch that I did this morning in Great Baddow. So it's the White Horse, Great Baddow, Essex. Those of you that live in the area would know that as somewhere that you've eaten or had the odd drink or two, and as a lovely little subject, I think it works as a study. So, you know, it's just a way of painting quickly, loosely, and just enjoy your painting, really. It really is all about enjoyment rather than getting frustrated over things that sometimes just don't work out. I'll be posting some more very shortly.